School, Principal Barbera, faculty, alumni, parents and students. Founders Day is a time of reflection when we honor the traditions founded in our past. It is also a time to look at Townsend Harris High School of the present. There's some excitement about the present. The theme of this Founders Day is Discimus ut serviamus. We learn, so we may serve. On this day, we commemorate those on whose shoulders we stand and aspire to be better human beings. Jose Martel, Townsend Harris faculty members, said in 1931, "You are the pioneers, the standard bearers of that old tradition, blazing a new path. Look to the past, look to the present, and look to the future." And speaking of our own past, present, and future, it is my pleasure to introduce my former student, the current Student Union President, and the future All-American success story, Judy Kwong, who will now lead us in the recitation of the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the Star-Spangled Banner. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Since 1984, the collaboration between Queens College and Townsend Harris High School has been a successful, thriving example of a secondary and higher education partnership. In 1995, the opening of the Townsend Harris High School on the Queens College campus enhanced that relationship. The collaboration is administered by the Office of College Preparatory Programs. Rabban Hizmi is the liaison between the Queens College and Townsend Harris High School. Rabban Hizmi holds a Master's in Philosophy in English and is currently a PhD candidate at the CUNY Graduate Center. She has been a member of the Queens College English Department since 2001, where she teaches medieval and early modern literature, contemporary lyric poetry, and literary theory. Professor Hizmi's connection to the collaboration dates back to 2004, and in January of 2013, she assumed the position of the director. As the liaison between Townsend Harris High School and Queens College, Professor Hizmi hopes to strengthen the already thriving components of the collaboration and expand into new areas, including more opportunities for Townsend Harris High School's underclassmen. Please help me welcome Professor Hizmi.
Thank you. Good morning. Principal Barbetto, Townsend Harris School faculty, alumni, parents, and students. As a liaison between Queens College and Townsend Harris High School, I proudly welcome you to this year's celebration of Founders Day. I bring you greetings and congratulations from Queens College President James Moiskins and the Dean of the Division of Education, Craig Michaels. This is my first experience at Founders Day, and it is a great honor to be here. The Ephebic Oath was first pledged by the inaugural class of Townsend Harris High School at the convocation held here at Queens College on October 25th, 1984. So this year is the 30th occasion of a venerable custom. Each Founders Day, the entering class of Townsend Harris students is administered the oath by members of the senior class. And thank you for coming today to witness and partake in this important tradition. The collaboration between Queens College and Townsend Harris High School is a fruitful and mutually beneficial partnership, and the connection between our institutions is particularly apt and indeed strengthened by our unique focus on and commitment to scholarship and community service. As you listen to the recitation of the Ephebic Oath, I would like you to consider how it reverberates with the Queens College motto, which is the theme of this morning's event. Discimus ut serviamus. We learn so that we may serve. Students, realize that your promise to someday leave your city greater than you found it is not a far-off event. Your contribution to community begins now, through your education and service. During your years at Townsend Harris and Queens College, you will have the opportunity to discover and explore a myriad of options. I urge you to make the most of every occasion to develop skills and acquire knowledge which will advance your success in fields where you can make a positive difference in the lives of those around you. To the faculty, alumni, and parents present, I congratulate you for your contribution to making Townsend Harris High School one of the finest schools in New York City. The reputation of Queens College is greatly enhanced by your presence on our campus. Please accept my warm welcome to Founders Day at Townsend Harris High School at Queens College.
Thank you, Professor Hizmi. The new Townsend Harris High School was reopened in 1984 due to the Herculean efforts of the Alumni Association. Since our rebirth, the Alumni Association has provided our school with magnanimous funding and mentoring our students through programs such as Career Day. A member of that first class of 1991 and the president of our Alumni Association is our next guest, Craig Slutskin. Please help me welcome Craig Slutskin.
Thank you. Good morning. On behalf of the 8,000 plus members of the Townsend Harris Alumni Association, I'd like to welcome each of you to this year's Founders Day ceremony, and a special welcome to the class of 2017 as you join the ranks of your fellow Harrisites. When you think of public high schools, you generally don't have tremendously active alumni associations. Most alumni associations simply focus on annual reunions. Well, your alumni association is quite different. As you all hopefully know, Townsend Harris was the premier high school in New York City until it was closed in 1942 due to budget cuts and a perceived distaste in elite schools by then Mayor LaGuardia. The school lay dormant for many years until the late 1970s, until a member of the class of 1943, Irving Gerber, put out an ad, first in the New York Times, and then in the City College newsletter, trying to connect with his classmates. That led to a luncheon attended by over 400 people at the Holiday Inn near, ironically enough, LaGuardia Airport. From that luncheon came a decision to formalize an alumni association. You had some pretty influential people there, politicians, businessmen, lawyers. Well, we all know that when you get a group of Harrisites together, something good is going to happen. And that group of men, remember this was an all-boys school, came up with the idea to reestablish the school. And that was not an easy task. But the Alumni Association, your Alumni Association, was up for the challenge. Pressure was put on schools chancellors Frank Macchiarola and Anthony Alvarado, City College wasn't interested in a link, and remember, the original high school was affiliated with City College. So the alumni found allies in Queensborough President Donald Mattis and Queens College President Saul Cohen, who found the idea of having the best school in New York City reside in Queens, on the Queens College campus, intriguing and one that could truly bolster Queens' pride. All this came out of the pestering, cajoling, and the persuading of members of the Alumni Association, your Alumni Association. The question we might ask ourselves is why these men even bothered to fight to bring back Harris. It had been closed for almost 40 years. High school was a distant memory for them, and for the most part, their children had been out of high school for years. Well, I've served as an officer for the Alumni Association for over 16 years now, and in those years, I've had the amazing opportunity to speak to hundreds of these great men. And they all say the same thing. Townsend Harris was unique, was special. It was the best times of many of their lives. The school back then, just as it is now, was steeped in the traditions of the humanities. Students took Latin and Greek back then, like each of you do now. Students participated in art and music programs. They excelled at mathematics and sciences and truly understood the link between those subjects and the humanities. The humanities program turned out generations of students who learned to think critically, question the status quo, and sought to leave their city greater than they found it. People like Jonas Salk, who developed a polio vaccine that helped eradicate a disease that killed over 500,000 people a year. People like Jerry Chazen, who created a worldwide brand with his Claiborne. People like Bill Nierenberg, whose public service spanned over 40 years, having worked on such diverse projects as the World War II Manhattan Project, to being a chief advisor in the late 1970s to President Carter on climate change. People like Bill Steig, who a cartoonist who, in 1990, at the age of 83, created Shrek. These great men took their humanities education and set out to change the world. They didn't go through the motions and let the world come to them. They went out and took the world by storm. They each in their own way changed the world, just like each one of you will do one day. Jennifer Chow, the class of '95, founded Swirl, a multi-ethnic organization that challenges society's notions of race and community building, education, and action. You're going to hear from David Yang in a few moments. Someone not much older than any of you, and you'll see how the new generation of Harris graduates are shaping their communities for the better. To continue this humanities tradition is to honor these and all other men and women from the reestablished school as well that came before you. We must do everything in our power, current students, alumni, faculty, and administration, to ensure that this tradition of excellence remains strong. While some may feel taking a second language may not serve a purpose, or in taking an extra course load of writing classes may not be the best use of time, but I promise you, the Latin and Greek class, writing collaterals in each and every subject, and even on some level, the 1-hour jogs, will teach you a discipline that you will not get in any other high school, how to think and act critically. In this age of Wikipedia and iPads, I believe that many in this generation have lost some of that, but not Townsend Harris students. We need to hold on to that tightly. Over the next few years, you're going to be challenged in ways that you could not have been imagined. We have all gone through it, and we came out the better. My advice to you is the same advice I give every year when I make this speech. Embrace it. There will be stress. There will be days with lots of homework. You'll get through it, I promise. Rely on your friends and family for support. Your teachers are here for you, so let them be here for you. And remember, this is a changing world. Innovation does go hand in hand with tradition. So let me get back to our Alumni Association before I close. As I mentioned, the Townsend Harris Alumni Association is a unique alumni association because of our intimate involvement at the school. We are here for you. The alumni helped recreate the school and forge a strong relationship with Queens College. Several years later, when I was in the school, the alumni helped fight for the new building, the one that you are in now that came 10 years after the initial promise. You're going to see the alumni. We're going to be a career day. We will be here to help mentor you for college choices. We'll be here to support many of your programs financially. When you graduate from college and enter the workforce, you'll be coming to our professional mixers that we hold for our lawyers, doctors, educators, scientists. It's a lifetime fraternity, and the Townsend Harris family is everywhere. When I applied to Columbia Business School back in 1990-something, I sought the advice of the chairman of the school's board of overseers. And how did I have access? Because it was Jerry Chazen, the founder of Liz Claiborne, who happened to be from the class of 1943. He was very happy to meet with me. In closing, I want to welcome you again to the Townsend Harris family. We're going to be with you all the way, sharing in the school's triumphs, and I'm comforted to know that each of you in the audience today will make us all very proud. Thank you.
Lustig. Thank you, students. Yes, we would like to thank our trumpet solo, Catherine Kulesha. Thank you, Maestro. Thank you, students. And now it's time for a much smaller ensemble, performed by Townsend Harris' own Judy Beater and Phil Porzio. They'll perform a true sign of approval. I like that. They will perform a freshman. They'll perform a freshman musical take on Townsend Harris High School. Take it away.
This song was written a few years back by a Townsend Harris freshman who worried that her choice to come here was not the right one. At first I was afraid, I was petrified, kept thinking I could never get used to long subway rides. And I spent oh so many nights thinking that my choice was wrong, but I was strong. And I learned how to get along, and I went back in this place. I really tried, I had to get a smile on my face. I hate that stupid watch, and when I run, I think quietly. I go down, I'm second, and I might wind up with a Jeep. So here I go, out the gym door, a running maniac, trying to earn Winston's score. Is this the Townsend Harris way to make me cry, to make me crumble, to make me lay down and die? Oh no, not I will survive. Oh, as long as I can run and jump and get a 65. I've got all my strength to give, and I'll survive. I will survive. I will survive.
Fantastic. I will never be able to do that. Okay. So, every school community finds its future through the efforts of administrators, teachers, guidance counselors, and students. The principal of the high school is at the vanguard of leading the way. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my distinct honor and pleasure to invite Principal of Townsend Harris High School, Anthony Barbetta.
Thank you. After this festival is over, any faculty member who wants to perform next year, I will take your name. Good morning, and welcome to Founders Day 2013. Today we celebrate and honor the history and traditions of Townsend Harris High School. To our students, we set aside this day to commemorate our schools we founded. This annual tradition brings back our alumni who have walked in your shoes. Their words to you today prove what Townsend Harris meant to them then and what it will always mean to be a Harrisite. People still don't know in my community, or my friends have no idea what a Harrisite is. I have to explain to them, but you are indeed a Harrisite. Thank you to our alumni for your continued support, to our school traditions, students, and staff. And thank you to our entire community for your generous donations to help feed the hungry in our city. I'd also like to take this moment to acknowledge the passing of Townsend Harris' second principal since the refounding, Mr. Thomas Cunningham. He succeeded Dr. Largman and served as our principal from 2001 to 2008. Mr. Cunningham was instrumental in maintaining and building upon our many traditions. Under his leadership, Townsend Harris continued to be one of the best schools in the city and nation. There are kind words that can be said about Mr. Cunningham. He had an excellent reputation as a caring and devoted member of the Townsend Harris community, a devoted educator, and an outstanding human being. He will be missed, and he will always be an integral part of our history. The theme this year, we learn so that we may serve. Our school, along with your parents and other role models in your life, hopefully will prepare you for a lifetime of community service, the backbone of our school. We strive to embed in you the Phi Beta Oath. Today, our freshmen and new sophomores will formally be accepted into the Townsend Harris family by reciting and pledging the oath. I pledged it last year. It was an honor. Our tradition calls for you not just to recite the oath, but also to live it throughout your years at Townsend Harris High School, and we hope throughout the rest of your life. Our new students will find out in a short period of time the high standards, high expectations, special commitment to community service, and shared responsibility to one another. That's what it means to be a Harrisite. To our returning students, you serve as role models to our new students. They will observe your dedication to academics, sports, and service you display every day. We as school leaders, we proudly speak of the attributes that you display, but it is you who demonstrate it day in and day out, and makes me really proud to be the principal of this fine institution. Students, I'm sure you will have fond memories of Townsend Harris, but I think Founders Day will always be remembered because of its uniqueness and meaning of the day. Let's also appreciate it that this is the only time that we meet as an entire school community. It's the only day, right here, today, that we get together because of the size of our auditorium. So really, let's enjoy today, because it is a special day. I was listening to the news this morning, and President Obama is flying to New York and he's going to land at Prospect Park. And he's going to visit what he believes to be the school's future, and what he thinks is an excellent example of a school. I think you should make a pit stop though and come to Townsend Harris High School. Last year we participated in a wonderful Founders Day ceremony. However, it was extremely short-lived. The ceremony was held on Friday, like today. Then Hurricane Sandy shortly arrived, and we did not reopen our school until 9 days later. We had no time to celebrate the performances. We went right to work, assisting the many devastated communities, helping those who needed assistance, including many of our own staff and students. We held fundraisers, donated more food and clothing that we could store. We volunteered in many different aspects, as did our alumni. This effort lasted all year long, and I'm sure it continues today. Next Tuesday is the 1-year anniversary of Hurricane Sandy. But we strive to leave our city greater than we found it. So let's hope there's not another hurricane, and the forecast looks good, a little cold. And this year, let's truly celebrate the meaning of Founders Day. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Principal Barbera. And now a quick note to my students. I hope you appreciate all the vocabulary words we're studying, being sprinkled throughout the speech. Okay, now it's my pleasure to introduce a new musical presence in our Townsend Harris community, Mr. Billy Chen, who will conduct the Symphonic Orchestra, performing in 1924. Big fans of Mr. Chen and the Symphonic Orchestra. It will perform a 1924 piece, Fascinating Rhythm, in Gershwin's repertoire. Thank you, Mr. Chen. Thank you, students. Okay. Now we'll have a little bit of a remodeling to do. And as this is happening, I'm going to introduce our next piece. We have a special presentation called A Visual and Musical History of Townsend Harris High School. This presentation was created by the 2013 Founders Day Project Group, directed by Dr. Mariko Sato-Berger. We would like to extend our special thanks to Professor Sidney Van Lord and Sam Sanchez of Cohen Library Archives and Special Collections for scanning crimson and gold yearbooks and for their expertise in the history of Townsend Harris High School and Queens College. And as we're waiting, maybe we should quiz a few more of my students to see which words I've used so far. It was just a joke, it's okay. We'll find out on Monday. As you can see, I too will not leave my comrades as they're setting up. That's true.
What's everyone doing here? I mean, I think it's Founders Day. Is it? Everyone's looking fine. And we get to get on early today, so I mean,
Oh, really? Oh my god, look at it. It's huge.
that's my first year, right?
I know. I really need the break. You have no idea. Oh, anyway, I have a question. What's Founders Day all about?
You know what? I never really thought about that.
Me neither.
I mean, what kind of name is Townsend? Who named their child that?
Yeah, it's tough. Oh,
Only the name of the first ambassador to Japan and a former president of the NYC DOE that built the schools you two attend today.
Townsend Harris. I thought you were dead.
I cannot believe students of my own establishment are so ignorant of my legacy. Back in my day,
Oh, here we go again. More stories.
I was born on October 3rd, 1804. I became the president of the New York City Department of Education in 1846 out of my own interest in further educating the people of New York. I established a publicly funded free academy, now known as the City College of New York. However, as much as I accomplished in New York, I admired Commodore Perry and his journey to Japan from my small dwelling in Shanghai at the time, and had to beg my way into being appointed first consul general to Japan. In 1855, I set off on my journey from New York City, and I crossed the Atlantic and went to Liverpool in the United Kingdom. Then went to Paris, France, and traveled around the Iberian Peninsula to Malta. Then I traveled south to Cairo, Egypt, and visited the pyramids. Then north to Istanbul, Turkey, and down once again through the Suez Canal and into the Indian Ocean, where I went to Georgetown, Malaysia, Singapore. I went up to Bangkok, the capital of Thailand, then Guangzhou in China, and finally I arrived in Shimoda, Japan. Upon arrival in Kakizaki, a province of Shimoda, I was bustled around like a sack of potatoes from place to place. The governor of Japan, known as the shogun, just didn't want to see me. I was made to stay at a Buddhist temple for months, But with all my newfound free time, I spent my days walking through the fishing village of Shimoda, admiring the mannerisms of the people.
Sakura, Sakura, yayoi no sora wa miwatasu kagiri, kasumi ka kumo ka, Niyoi zo izuru.
Finally, I met with the Shimoda shogun and negotiated with him concerning a commercial treaty, now known as the Harris Treaty, aptly named, in my opinion. It opened up Japan to trading with the world.
Yeah, you know, that's cool and all, but why exactly did you create Town and Harris before going to Japan?
Was it really necessary? Did we really?
Well, dear students, I believed that New York City could have been more educated. I found that cultivating the minds of the young, developing teens, was better than rewriting their knowledge at the Free Academy.
So, Mr. Harris, do you know how many famous people came out of Town and Harris after you died?
The thing is though, from songwriters to politicians, Townsend produced hundreds of famous people decades after them, just like us, soon to be.
What's the meaning of this? Students of my school not even paying attention in class? This is a disgrace!
I knew it!
Actually, Mr. Harris, those two, Ira Gershwin and Yip Harper, grew to be incredibly famous lyricists. They sat together in math class and shared the same favorite verses of the Bad Ballads. Eventually, they went on to write out the entire score for The Wizard of Oz.
So, what do you think we should name the song? I'm thinking something under my elbow. I don't really believe that. How about this school really blows? No. How about somewhere over the hill? That works. Oh, okay.
Somewhere over the rainbow, way